All right, welcome back to the Onebar and Lupagus show. I am Lupagus, and we are Skoling with the enemy. We have Derek here from Bring the Juice podcast. No strangers to the show. Derek, I think it's like the third or fourth time you've been on the show.
Yeah, it's been a couple times now, so can't complain. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it's weird that an AFC South team has been on our show as frequently as you have, but that's just the way the schedule has worked out. Again, appreciate you hopping on. Links to your channel will be in the description. Give them a sub. Even if it's just for harassing them this Sunday. Sunday Night Football, Vikings and the Colts, going to be a big one. I want to ask you first of all, your channel. What are you guys up to for subscribers right now?
Let's say right now the number, we're very close to 20K. We're almost at 19,400 now.
Damn, well done, and well deserved as well. You guys are fantastic. Bring the Juice, one of the best. I'm going to say the best damn Colts podcast out there. So let's start. I got to start with Anthony Richardson. Where do you stand on the whole benching of him? Are you forward? Are you against it? Seems to be very strong opinions on both sides of the situation.
Well, I think that I think they're doing it for an opposite reason of what they're telling us. I don't think they're being honest with everyone, because Steichen says, oh, it has nothing to do with, what occurred last Sunday. It only has to do with on-field performance. And I don't buy that for a hot second. I don't buy it at all. Because, when you drafted this kid, you said that, through the ups and the downs, you were going to let this kid develop by letting him get all the reps, every reps he could possibly get. And I think, and I've had to look, I had to do some actual soul searching myself, because, Colts fans are all obviously pissed, and we have a reason to be, because, this was supposed to be the season that Anthony Richardson is developing. This is the season that Anthony Richardson is, going to get these reps, and we're hoping to see some progress. But now we're wondering if we're even going to see Anthony Richardson for the remainder of the year. Who knows? Because Shane Steichen wouldn't commit to that. I think it has something to do with how he has handled himself. I think that the taking himself off the field was just the final straw in the back for Steichen, for not just Steichen, but I think Jim Irsay as well. And they said, we're going to teach this kid a lesson, and we're going to hope that he figures it out now, because, that he has said a lot of things. He's done a lot of things. He's, put himself in the public eye as, someone that's just not mentally tough, and when it comes to the on the field stuff, the casual fans will just look at the box score and say, oh my God, this guy is terrible. You actually watch the games and you actually watch the film, it's actually not as bad as it actually looks. It's still bad, no question about it. But his receivers do not help him at all. They have let him down in so many ways this year, but your audience doesn't care about that, so I'll digress. But yeah, I think that he's a 22-year-old kid. That's what he really is right now. He's still a kid. And I know it's oh, he's an adult. Who all has done all their growing up at the age of 22? Not everyone has. Most people haven't. And I think that he has said some things, done some things, acted a certain way that makes it sound as if he thinks this is just too easy for him. And it's not been. And it's not been good. And, not saying he's fully at fault for everything that's happened with this Colts team, because Steichen hasn't done a great job this year. And, the supporting cast around him hasn't done a great job either. But, Anthony Richardson, I think, has said and done some things that has pissed a lot of people off. Certainly pissed a lot of national media people off, even former players. And, I don't agree with the benching the way they've done it. I felt like they did it, even the way that they did it, I felt they did it in a very wrong way. And, I felt like Steichen could have fixed a lot of this had he addressed the situation when it happened on the field in the first place, and had he not, went off the field after the game and even backed up Anthony Richardson's words in a way. And I think that the Colts are literally just going at this on the edge of their seats and honestly don't have any direction right now. So it is what it is. We don't know when we'll see Anthony Richardson again, if we'll see Anthony Richardson again this season. So right now it's Joe Flacco's team.
Well, let's go long term. Is he the future still, in your opinion?
I don't know. I can't answer that either. I would love for this kid to still be the future answer because I still think that there's a lot of great things about him. And like, I've talked with him, and I mean, he is such a great dude. He's such a humble human being. But yet, I mean, there has been times where, I think that as a young person, he has allowed certain things to get to his head. And I think it's clouding his ability to get better. And in some ways, in either ways, it's just not really a great look to either the coaching staff or to the players. But I mean, the talent is there. If he shows that, hey, like, I'm going to have a more serious tone with this, which again, he's 22 years old. He's younger than almost every other quarterback in this league. He has time to be able to grow up and start becoming, that quarterback leader that people are saying he needs to become. I hope that he does, and I would love to see it. I just, at this moment, what this organization did to him, though, I mean, very rarely do people come back from it, let alone come back from it with that same organization. So who knows?
Wow. All right. So that being said, I mean, do you believe Joe Flacco gives you the best chance to win this? I mean, Sunday and the rest of the season?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he definitely does make it a little bit easier for you. I don't think that there are things that well, the one thing is the Colts run game does not get better with Joe Flacco on the field. And anyone that understands Anthony Richardson, I mean, again, when you run the football with Anthony Richardson, that's the part where defenses have to account for that. And guys like Jonathan Taylor, even our backup running backs like Tyler Goodson, who could barely run the football when Joe Flacco's in there, and then Goodson proceeds to run for almost 100 yards in the game that Anthony Richardson comes back, because, that's what happens when defenses have to account for a guy like Anthony Richardson that can run. You have to account for that. You don't account for that when Joe Flacco is out there. The consistency in the pass game is definitely a lot more fair. I totally understand that. Flacco a lot more times is going to understand where to go with the ball at what time and who's got the hot route, things like that. He's a little bit more on point with it. And no doubt the execution is just usually a little bit better. Now, I will say, for anyone who thinks that Joe Flacco is the answer and all of a sudden this Colts offense is immediately a much bigger juggernaut than it could have already been, it really hasn't been that case, though. He scored 34 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but 21 of that came in the fourth quarter when the game was almost getting out of hand several times. And he barely hung on against the Pittsburgh Steelers and, didn't really look all that great. I mean, he looked okay against the Tennessee Titans, but I saw him miss a lot of throws in that game. So, it's definitely not at the level that a lot of people think it is with Joe Flacco. But as far as like efficiency goes, yeah, it's definitely a little better.
And to be honest with you, we were all rooting for Anthony Richardson to start here in Minnesota, just because we got carved up by two veteran quarterbacks the last 2 weeks. So we were hoping maybe a rookie, or not rookie, but a young quarterback like Anthony Richardson maybe would help a struggling defense that struggled the last 2 weeks. But let's go to your O-line. You guys have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. What's the health right now of Bernard Raymond and Braden Smith? I know one of them they both didn't participate yesterday. What was their status today?
Yeah, I can actually take a look at it now. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very nerve-wracking to know that the Indianapolis Colts could be without a couple of these guys. Ryan Kelly did practice today. The only one I'm worried about is Bernard Ryman. It's the only one. Braden Smith, our right tackle, he's practiced one practice every week for like the last 5 weeks with that knee injury. So until he actually gets held out of a game at any point, I'm not worried about him. That knee is just going to constantly be an issue. They're mainly just resting him just so that way he's good to go when Sunday comes around. Ryan Kelly, he did have a full participation, which to me says that he's going to be ready. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if Ryman does not practice tomorrow, that's going to be the big issue. If I was a betting man, I would say that he would not play. And that would probably mean rookie tackle Matt Gonsalves will probably end up taking over for him on that left side with Quentin Nelson.
All right. Let's stay in your offense. What does the Colts offense do well this year?
Well, for one, when Shane Steichen decides to actually do it running the football. Yeah. The Colts offense has always been really good at running the football ever since 2019 with this new offensive line. And Jonathan Taylor is at the forefront of that. If Jonathan Taylor's in there, I mean, this guy is a walking 100 yards every single game because he's just so good at it. And he's so patient. He looks like a bigger, stronger, faster Le'Veon Bell. Like, that's really what he is. He's so patient behind that line and waits for those holes to pass through. And, it's just something that very few running backs in the NFL are just that good at. And he's able to do it so well. And, the offensive line, too, is they do a great job of just committing to their blocks. And Jonathan Taylor, he knows that it's going to be there. So he's just following that hole wherever it may go to. And one great thing the Colts always do with running the football is counters. When you have the right side of the offensive line crashing, and then you have Big Q pulling and coming out on the outside, hitting someone there, there's always going to be a hole. So Jonathan Taylor always is licking his chops when he knows that Quentin Nelson is the one that's going to be in front of him. Yeah. As far as the passing goes, it's been an up and down year even with Joe Flacco, things have been different when it comes to it, but at least from the Flacco standpoint, the accuracy is going to get more involved. So downfield throws to like Alec Pierce is something that always happens when Joe Flacco gets in there, because Alec Pierce is a 50-50 ball nightmare for any corner out there. Josh Downs can get open when nobody else is. I mean, he's quickly arising to potentially our best wide receiver on this team, and he's only a second-year player. So, as far as the offense goes, I mean, they do a good job also of balancing out the attacks. They're normally not a 75% pass and 25% rush like some other teams occasionally do. They're more 60-40, usually pretty close down the middle when it comes to it, as long as Shane Steichen sticks to the game plan.
Nice. You've kind of, some subtle jabs here at Shane Steichen. What's your thoughts on your head coach? I mean, are you not a fan? I'm getting the sense maybe you're not a huge fan of him.
It hasn't been a great year for Shane Steichen. I don't like it. I really don't. And I'm not saying that I feel like Shane Steichen is a bad coach. I'm not willing to go that far yet. But I think also what comes down to it is my feelings about just how this whole Anthony Richardson thing went down. Steichen is not giving out any information. He's not letting anything through. All the reporting guys are trying to figure out, what came down to this decision. How do you feel about how you address the team? Things like that, right? So, I think this week has given an extremely bad look on Shane Steichen along with the rest of the franchise. So, feelings on that are very high. Again, I think I think Shane Steichen is a great play caller at times. But I think this year, I can't get over when it comes to Anthony Richardson. A lot of times he has failed to give him a game plan that works. They're trying to develop him into a pocket passer, and that is clearly not what Anthony Richardson is very good at. And it's a shame that they're trying to force him to become one. And like even last week, if Shane Steichen would have thought of to run the ball maybe 8 more times in that game, I think Indianapolis might have actually won that game, and we might not even be talking about this. So it's kind of one of those things where he gets too cute. He gets in his own way at times and forgets that he has quite possibly the best running back in the NFL in his backfield. And that's what pisses me off when it comes to Shane Steichen. Outside of that, again, he does a lot of great concepts, and I wish he would just get more creative more often. Honestly, that's what upsets me even more is, sometimes he just goes insanely conservative, and it's like, dude, just always stay creative. Yeah. That's what makes it so difficult for these defenses. Even if you had Joe Flacco in there, you could still get creative with it. It's just been a regressing year for a lot of the offense for this Colts team, and that includes Shane Steichen as well.
All right. Again, we're here with Derek from the Bring the Juice podcast. Give them a follow. Link will be in the description. All right. So what does your defense do well? What's the strength of this defense?
Is there one? I mean, you might know one that I don't. There isn't one.
Okay.
There isn't a strength of this defense. I think we're the 24th or 23rd ranked pass offense, and we're the 30th or 31st worst rush defense. I mean, we're not that great right now.
Yeah.
And I will give credit to the defense a little bit. I think the first 4 or 5 weeks, the numbers were insane. Like they were insanely bad. Just to give you some perspective on how bad it was to start the year, man. Here's what's happening. So I tell everybody this and it blows their minds. In the first 2 games, the Indianapolis Colts allowed 475 rushing yards.
Wow.
In the first 2 games. That was 75 more than the next worst team in the NFL in the Carolina Panthers. And that was before all of these major injuries started happening for the Indianapolis Colts. So the defense got bad. They were really bad. I guess one thing that I can say is a little bit of a strength, and it's not really a strength, it's more of just an observation, is the last 3 weeks, the Colts have really made it difficult for a lot of these offenses to sustain long drives and finish long drives. They haven't been giving up the big 40, 50, 60, 70-yard touchdown, big explosive play like some other teams do. If teams are going to score, the Colts make them go all the way down the field to do it. And I know the first 2 weeks that I mentioned this, it was against Tennessee and Miami, albeit those 2 offenses are atrociously bad. Might be the 2 worst offenses in the NFL at the moment. But even this last week against Houston, I mean, yeah, they gave up 23, but I mean, again, the time of possession was not good for the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts went 3 and out, I think 4 times in a row in that game. And I think the Colts only gave up like 3 points in that time span. So they've done, and with that game against Houston, I mean, and despite them missing Nico Collins, they're no scrubs. No. I mean, they made it difficult for Joe Mixon. In their first matchup, they gave up over 200 yards rushing to the Houston Texans, 167 of that coming to Joe Mixon. This time around, he only got 106. Now, again, that's a pretty solid day.
Yeah.
But when you look at the fact that he carried the ball 26 times, he was only averaging 4 yards a carry at most. It was a lot for him. It took a lot more for him to have to worry about than the last time that we played them. And at certain times, even when they were in field goal range, The Colts would get a key sack. The Colts would get a couple key deflections to be able to stop those drives, right? Like they were able to do enough to keep those teams from scoring consistently and giving our offense a chance to win. Now, will that continue to be the case when the offense, if Joe Flacco maybe starts helping the offense score more points? I don't know. Joe Flacco hasn't shown that he's been able to score a lot more than Anthony Richardson-led offenses have. And even when they do, the Colts defense seems to downgrade whenever Joe Flacco actually comes on the field, which is very weird. But nevertheless, I mean, there isn't really a strength of this team. I think they've just gotten better over the last few weeks of eliminating the big play and just forcing teams to have to score inside the red zone if they want to win games.
Well, and every game they've had has been a one-score game. So is there any reason for that? Like, I mean, every game has been a one-score game for these Colts who are 4-4. So what's the reason for that?
I don't know, man. That is a wild one for me to know, honestly, because, you know, the main aspect of it is the problem with the defense. Again, the defense has been really bad all season. You know, they haven't really figured it out, you know, and obviously the offense with Anthony Richardson has lacked, whether it be the fact that, I mean, I could tell you in the last game, there were 4 touchdown passes that were either dropped or were turned back because of penalty.
Okay.
So, I mean, say what we want about Anthony Richardson's accuracy numbers. Clearly, they're not good. But the wide receivers, they drop so much. They drop so much. And it's such an uncharacteristic thing for a team that has Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, who have some really great numbers. They just consistently drop passes. And, you know, there's more guys that go into that reason. But it's just a lack of situational awareness when it comes to this team. I mean, one unit plays insanely well, one unit plays terrible. The Colts have not played through 7 weeks, 8 weeks, have not played a full game of football yet, where both units are working in cohesiveness. They haven't. I mean, say what you want about the wins, but I mean, our wins were never winning convincingly. We had to hang on. We had to hang on against the Bears. We had to hang on against the Steelers with Justin Fields. We had to hang on against the Dolphins. You know, we had to hang on against the Tennessee Titans. You know, I know that winning games in the NFL is not easy, but I mean, some of the teams that you have beat, they're not really great teams. So, you know, the offense plays good one game, the defense does bad. The defense does good one game, and the offense just falls asleep and never woke up. So it's kind of been the reason for why this team has looked as bad as it has.
All right. I want to ask you about, you know, you're an AFC South guy. We just traded for a left tackle from the AFC South and Cam Robinson. Any thoughts on him? Any insight that you can give us on Cam Robinson, our new left tackle?
Well, I will say, in recent memory, Cam Robinson's been playing really good. Mm-hmm. I always remembered Cam Robinson as, you know, just a absolutely terrible left tackle when he first got drafted. Mm-hmm. This year, the offensive line for the Jacksonville Jaguars has not been good in any way, shape, or form. But, you know, in the last game that he played, he did pretty good. I don't know whether – I mean, the best person you can ask about that is UCF Jaguar. Yeah, he would definitely know a lot more about that kid. But, yeah, obviously, since the Jaguars are not serious contenders, clearly and honestly, I mean, it might say something about the fact that you were able to trade away your starting left tackle for a 4th-round draft pick. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll let that speak for itself, I guess.
In 2 years. All right, so just a couple more for you, Derek. Again, thank you for hopping on. Who's the one player on the Colts, offense or defense? Every time he takes the field, you just cringe. You're like, oh, God, here we go.
Oh, man. Okay.
Who's your Ed Ingram?
Oh, there's got to be a defensive player in there somewhere. For defense, I gotta say and it's a guy that's probably, yeah, he doesn't even really play right now. I would say I do see our occasional free safety Rodney Thomas come in every once in a while, and he's just it's bad. Like, I mean, he was drafted in the 7th round out of Yale, and his rookie year he actually led the team in interceptions, which is wild. But then the next year he played so bad that he benched his way into a healthy inactive. Like, that's how bad he became. So, nice. Anytime I hear that name, I cringe.
Rodney Thomas, you said his name is?
Yep.
All right. What number is he? I'm going to watch for him on Sunday.
Dude, I can't remember at this point. I think
he took away his number. He just has a white jersey.
5, I think. So.
All right. What's your guys' plan for the game? Are you live streaming? Are you just gonna go live after it? What do you guys do?
Oh yeah, I'll be live for it. I'll be doing a live play-by-play as I always do.
You do it every week? Okay. We do it for the primetime ones. Okay. Nice. Yeah, we're going live Sunday as well. So how do you think this thing shakes out Sunday night? Colts Vikings.
Well, I wish I could say I was a little bit more excited for it because I was like, oh man, yeah, we're gonna get to watch Anthony Richardson and the Colts play primetime. Well, it's not quite that situation anymore. But I mean, yeah, it is cool because it'll be really fun to watch the Colts get some love on mainstream. I mean, obviously, the narrative is going to consistently be if the Colts somehow find a way to beat the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football in front of the entire world, then we all know what's going to happen, right? It's not going to be about the win. It's not going to be about the Colts record. It's not going to be about anything. It's going to be about how the Colts made the right decision in making sure that Joe Flacco was the quarterback. Even if Joe Flacco completes only 50% of his passes for 180 yards and a touchdown at most, the narrative will be the Colts won with him, and the Colts couldn't have won that game with Anthony Richardson. It is clear the Colts made the right decision, and Anthony Richardson is a bum and will never be the quarterback of a franchise going forward. Wow. And that's going to be the narrative. So, in a way, I'm almost kind of hoping you guys win, to be honest with you, because I don't know how much I can handle it if that were to happen. Honestly, because I get enough of it from my own fan base.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to hear that from national media people all week long. I really don't. I already have had enough with some of these national media people this week and some of the takes they've had. But I mean, it would just be a million times worse going into this next week.
Nice. I got to ask you one more thing. I was going to ask you this earlier, but I got to get your opinion of this Colts fan he's gone viral singing those Colts anthem every single week. Does he inspire you? Yeah. Do you know this guy? What's going on here? I think he's fantastic.
I love it. And it drives me insane how much people hate him. Like, I mean, and people hate him. Like, some people hate him, and I don't know how miserable you have to be in your life to hate what Seth's doing or think that in any way, shape, or form that like the Colts success gets to dictate what you see from Seth. Like, I mean, this is a dude that's just doing something that he likes, and he just so happened to catch fame from it. I don't mind it. I love it. If I had the opportunity to do something like that and I knew I was going to go viral, I would do it too. So like, I love Seth. I think it's awesome. I love seeing the weekly anthems for sure.
Yeah.
And no pessimistic bull crap fans or the lack of team success is going to deter me from ever wanting to hear that on Saturday night before game.
Is that when he drops them Saturday night?
I think it's Friday when he typically does them, but he typically releases it a day or two before. But I always look forward to him every week.
I can't wait to see this week. That's fantastic. Yeah, I love when he neighs at the end. It's great. I didn't know he was neighing at first. One bar's like, no, he's neighing. I go, I thought he was just screaming, but
yeah,
he's
it's a neigh. Yeah,
okay.
It's funny. It's funny because I showed my cousin that one time when he was live streaming, and he laughed so hard he ran out of his chair and off his stream, and it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's always a good laugh. It's just always fun to watch those. So
hell yeah. All right, Derek, thanks again for hopping on. Good luck this Sunday with your Colts, or maybe bad luck. I don't know what you want after you get your take on your team. Appreciate you hopping on for like the 4th time on our show. Again, thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Hell yeah.